This is Fanny, she's going to be helping us today. I want to show you some simple bodywork techniques that you can use as part of the rehabilitation phase after your horse has had laminitis. It's important that you've got the foot care and the cause of the laminitis sorted first. Any bodywork that you do is a complement to the veterinary care that will have gone before. Okay, so I'm going to show you a few techniques. Very first thing that you can do is use your hands to run all over the body of your horse. So very often we'll groom them, but the brush makes a difference. So after you've been grooming, put the brush down and use your hands to run all over the horse. And think about your hands as being eyes, and they're listening eyes. So you can get several bits of information when you run your hands over your horse. You can find areas which are warmer, which are cooler, which are harder, which are bumpier. So pay attention to the texture, the tone, the temperature. Areas that are hard today that weren't yesterday. So you use this as a barometer of how your animal is doing. This is something that every horse owner should do, not just with a sick horse. Common areas of tightness with a horse that's had laminitis is along the back, along the quarters and down the hamstrings. And this pony certainly feels hard from about here. You can see the different hair changes. The coat feels rougher in this area. And as we get down here, all of these muscles feel very hard. Some of them you can even see standing out. The next exercise you can do is a TTouch called the Zigzag. Here you start with your fingertips together, and as you go away from your body, the fingertips separate. As you come back, they come together. And this touch is brilliant for connection. And any horse that's had laminitis will have changed its posture to a certain extent. So it will be using its body in a different way. And using the Zigzag, you can help it to reconnect with all of its body. We've found that some ponies that have had laminitis for quite a long time can be very sensitive about being touched on their hind legs. So the Zigzag is a great way of approaching this. So first thing to do is work out where the zone of comfort is. And normally there will either be some kind of visual facial expression. They might step away, they might lift their leg, they might also step into you. So look out for those kind of signs to show that the horse is not happy with what's going on. when you know what the area is that you're able to work in, you can then do your zebra zigzags in that place. Now let's say that this pony didn't want to be touched below this line here. I might do my zebra zigzags here, which she's very happy with, and then I can do an approach and retreat with the zigzag. Return to the area where they're comfortable. And give them a little pause. Just a few moments to digest what you've been doing, to allow the nervous system to absorb the new information. So the next exercise we're going to do is TTouch Python lifts. Now this is an exercise which is great to do on the legs. You're going to try and bring some circulation down to the feet. Remind the horse that its legs and its feet are still attached and still functioning, and help it to have a slightly smoother movement. First thing to do is say hello to the leg, all the way down to the foot. When you get to the foot, you can just hold it for a moment. You might want to do this 2 or 3 times. And then we go into the python lift. So I make a W with my hands and I wrap around the leg. I'm starting a little bit higher here on the shoulder. When I get down to the leg, you can see how my hands wrap around. Now I'm going to just glob onto the skin without grabbing. So relaxed wrist, relaxed fingers, and then lift up the skin. Have a momentary pause and support the skin down. And when you get to the bottom, you slide down to the next part on the leg where you're going to repeat this exercise. So lift the skin, pause, and carry it down. And then slide down to the next place, lift the skin, pause, and carry it down. When you get to the bottom, it's nice just to hold the foot. And you can do this 2 or 3 times. Now you can do it between 3 and 5 on the leg. It depends a little bit on the animal, because if you have a horse that doesn't like its legs to be touched, you might only be able to get down here, and so you've only got room for 1 or 2. If you've got a horse that's very fidgety, again you might not have time to do very many before he moves away. So work within the horse's comfort zone, and if you can only touch the leg until here, just keep your python lifts in this area. And you'll find as you progress and as you repeat the exercise over the following days and weeks, you'll be able to get further down. Because I've taken Fanny's boot off, I've just placed her foot on a foam square of carpet tile. These are really great. You can get these quite easily and they're very inexpensive, just for those transition times in between when you're changing boots. You can also cut them up to make pads to go in your boots, or literally duct tape them onto the foot to make an emergency pad. Details of how to do that are on the Laminitis Site website. Okay, the next TTouch you can use is called the Raccoon TTouch, and this is one of the circular touches, and we're going to do this around the coronet band. For a circular TTouch, we imagine a clock face. We're going to start at the bottom and we're going to do a circle and a quarter around the clock face. So we go from 6 all the way around to 6 and then back up to 9. I'm using the very tips of my fingers for the Raccoon TTouch, and the pressure is very light, a 1 or a 2. A level 1 pressure would be about the same amount that you would use on your cheekbone. So if you rest your thumb on your cheek and your fingers on your cheekbone, lighten up until you can't feel the cheekbone anymore, and that would be a 1 pressure. If you press in a little bit so that you feel the cheekbone, that would be about a number 3 pressure. So for the Raccoon touch, we're going to do tiny circles all the way around the coronet band. And sometimes I just use my thumb to do this, depending on the position that you're in. Use the fingers which are most comfortable. And remember the back. In areas on the coronet bend where there's been a lot of compression, horses can be very sensitive. So it's really important to do this with a very light pressure. So today I've tried to give you some simple techniques that you can use in the rehabilitation of your horse after a laminitis episode. Laminitis isn't a life sentence, so please look for more information. It's really important to sort out the cause of the laminitis and to correctly realign the feet and protect them as soon as possible. Information on how to do this is on the Laminitis Site. If you would like help with bodywork, do contact a TTouch practitioner who will be able to come out and see you directly, demonstrate the touches with you and give you further bodywork exercises. The pressures involved in these TTouches are very light. It's very difficult to do them wrong. Have a go. The most important thing, watch the feedback from your horse. If they're happy with it, they'll tell you. If they're not happy with it, they'll tell you that too. Look for the little signs, look for the blinking of the eye, the size of the eye, the breathing rate. Do they breathe faster? Are they breathing deeply or shallowly? What's going on with their ears? The head position, is it high or is it low? And literally whether they move their feet. If they're moving away from you, you might want to try a lighter pressure, you might want to try a slower speed, or you might want to try a different touch.